get the meeting started. If the preschoolers want to come up and lead us in the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call. Let's show that everybody is here. This item is approval of the agenda.
I'll make it.
Heather makes the first. Any discussion? I have a second.
I'll second.
Alright. And on to the spotlight report. Fitz trailer rental check presentation. Oh, vote on the agenda.
Yeah.
All in favor?
All in favor? What?
We already did.
Okay. So it's 5-0. Alright. So now on to the next item is the Fitch trailer rentals check presentation. So we have Carrie Kyle Swain, General Manager, Paul Brueggemann, Sales Manager, Nancy Neal, Office Manager. Who I would like to come up and meet Dr. Baker.
Folks, I believe that you are graciously presenting a check this evening. Would you like to share with the audience what you're doing tonight?
Absolutely. So my name is Kyle Swain. I'm the general manager at Fitch Trailer Leasing here in Walton. I have Paul Brueggemann, who's our sales manager, and Nancy Neal, who's our office manager. Several weeks back, we were trying to figure out a way to give back to the community, and we thought what better way than to support the local school system. So tonight, on behalf of American Trailer Rental Group and Fitch Trailer Leasing, we'd like to present this check to the Walton Verona Cafeteria for $2,519.71 to pay off the free and reduced lunch debt for the entire district. Absolutely, I think so too. Yes. Thank you very much.
Thank you all so much.
Thank you. All right, now at this time, if you guys and the preschoolers, if you all want to head out.
No, they can't leave yet.
They can't leave yet? All right, so just them, you all can
Oh, they're
be
next.
dismissed.
Yeah, we're next. Gotcha.
All right.
Okay, so we are the Spotlight. Very excited to be here tonight to just be able to show you guys a little bit about what's going on down there. We're off to such a great start this year. Things are running so very smoothly. The facility obviously is beautiful, but most importantly, the students are just doing so well, and they're all thriving, and staff is wonderful. So that's why we're here tonight, just to spotlight the wonderful things that we have going on down there. So I have some friends here with me tonight to help me with this spotlight report. So if you guys want to come on up here with me. Do you want to say your name? This is Anna. We have Anna with us. We have Ellie. This is Rue. This is Colin. And that's Kate. And each one of these guys made you a picture that they're going to give you. So if you guys want to go hand in your pictures, you can tell them about it real quick. Kate, why don't you start your name? You want to go get ready to take a picture? Rue, you want to take your picture? Ellie, you can give yours to Miss Megan. And you'll give yours to Daddy. Awesome.
Thank you. Good
This
job.
month is good. Love everyone.
That's so pretty. High five. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Okay. I'd like to first start by talking about our enrollment a little bit. So as of our December 1 child count that I reported on, these were our numbers, and this was also a part of the fall preschool enrollment count. But our total enrollment was 87, 65 of those being students with disabilities, and then 11 of those are in our at-risk population, and then 11 full-time tuition students. This can be just a little bit misleading because all of our special education or at-risk population have the opportunity to do our extended care program. So we have a whole other population of extended care students as well. So they're reflected in here, but to think about it, we're busy all day. We're full all day. So there's a lot of things going on down there. And since this December 1 child count, we have had a couple of students added, and then last Friday did 8 screenings. So we are continuing to grow, just like everywhere. So next up, I'd just like to recognize the staff. Some of them are new. There's a lot of movement this year, kind of across the board, but I just wanted to take a moment to just kind of recognize some of these people for the work that they're doing down there. Some of our support staff, we have Audrey Finke, who came to us from the middle school, and she's working in our front office and doing fabulous. Miss Julia Bird Turner, she came to us also from the middle school, high school cafeteria, and she is our cafeteria manager. She is by herself down there, but she is managing very well, and it's just really cool to see her interacting with the students when I'm in there for lunch. Zach Davis, he is our custodian. He does an amazing job of keeping that place clean. He takes a lot of pride in his work. And as a parent, I think it's really great, and it speaks a lot to the culture and the climate down there when I hear, just as many stories about Mr. Zach as I do some of the other staff. So I think he really loves his job, and he's done very well down there with us. So. We also have Mr. Brown and Miss Betty. They're our transportation team. I wanted to recognize them too, just because their role is critical. They are the face that the parents see to drop their babies off with these people to get them to school, but they do a great job of making parents and kids feel comfortable, and of course getting them here safely. So our instructional assistant team, as you know, these ladies are just as important as anybody else in the building, and Amy Souther, Emily Cooper, and Katie Simmons all were with us last year at the Verona campus and made the transition. We were lucky enough to get Nancy Prather, who was with us previously out of retirement. She's back with us, and she's doing wonderful. And because of our numbers, we had we needed to add an instructional assistant after fall break. So Jessica Lemkel is with us. She's working with our extended care students in the mornings and hit the ground running, but she's doing wonderful also. Also, just want to recognize Cinda Henson, our coordinator. Again, she continues, she's not here with us, but she's doing a fabulous job of running the day-to-day operations in the building. She has so much preschool knowledge that we're just really lucky to have her in that building. Our teachers, we do have one of them with us tonight. I'm glad you guys finally get to officially meet her. But we have Laura Daniels with us tonight. We got her, she's new to us this year, along with Laura Robbins. They're both new. They both came to us from Owen County, and that was a good news. We are so happy to have both of them with us. And then Miss Tiara Honey, she was with us last year. She is also continuing to do a fabulous job. Last person I'd like to talk about is our full-time speech-language pathologist. It's just really been wonderful to have a full-time person there. She's able to do so much more than just therapy. She also is a part of the everyday routines, the culture and the climate. So it's really nice to have a full-time person there to provide those services, but just to be there for the kids too. So that's it. That's our wonderful staff that we have. We can go on to the next slide. Did just want to talk for a minute about some of the special events. I have a few pictures of some of the things that we have done, but a few of the upcoming events. They're doing a STEM night in February. The zoo is coming for a visit in March. They're going on their second field trip of the year to the Children's Museum. That's in April. And then our first ever preschool yearbook, which we're really excited about. I think it's going to be really, really cute. So can't wait to share that with you guys also. And then if you want to go to the next one, we can look at a few of the pictures from some of the events that we had. This was just the first day of school for everybody. So in their baby Bearcat shirts, those were a hit. They loved those. This was the grand opening that we had prior to that, but just there was a special day for the community to come and see and meet the baby Bearcat. These are some of our teachers at the grand opening. We had a parent open house, had a great turnout, a lot of parents. The parent involvement has been wonderful this year also. They're very involved and willing to participate in a lot of our events, so that's been really great also. We took our first field trip in, I think, 8 years, he said. So the fall trip was to Sugar Ridge Farm, and these are just some pictures. That was a great day, a lot of fun. A few more. They did a Community Helpers Week where they got to meet a lot of the important people in our community. So that was a really cool experience for a lot of the kids. Also did a Halloween parade. So we had a chicken, we had Sporky, a Dorothy, Cinderella, and a Shimmer and Shine, yeah. Polar Express Day, they got to, have some hot chocolate and watch a movie. That was a fun day for the kids and the PJs. Literacy Night, that was a neat event. All the families were invited to come and they got to read some books. Parents got to read books with kids, and then they got to do some arts and crafts. They enjoyed spaghetti dinner, and then everybody left with a book. So that was a really great event also, and another good turnout. And that was just our holiday party, Christmas time, arts and crafts, and that's it. I just wanted to thank you guys for your support of the program and your understanding of the importance of early childhood education. So thank you guys, and thank you guys for coming. You all did good. Thank you.
So now if the preschool would like to.
Oh, there it is. There it is.
We'll start with the principal's report.
All right, so down at the elementary school, just a couple things to highlight from the report. Last month I spoke to you all about when we got finished with our winter math test. I really like to get in there and dig apart on those numbers and look at that conditional growth percentile. I have those numbers as well as the comparisons from what we did last year. So I was really, really excited about this. I've shared this with staff and PLCs, but I think I'm going to send out another reminder just to kind of say, hey, you guys are doing awesome. But so quick breakdown, winter reading median percentile. As you can see from last year to this year, our median percentile is up, which is great. Same thing in the math percentile is up, which is excellent. But the thing that really, really gets me excited is that growth change on that conditional growth percentile. Starting last year in our PLCs, that became a major emphasis with Mr. Hartman and myself in those meetings, and our teachers are continuing to do that work and looking at our students. For me, that's particularly exciting because you know, it's not just about trying to get kids to that threshold of proficiency. We have a lot of students that walk into the classroom on day one and they're already proficient at their grade level. So what are we doing to serve those kids? Those conditional growth percentile numbers could not be high if we weren't serving those kids that come in at that point. So we went from 42 to 51 last year for our winter-to-winter comparison in reading. In math, went from 45 to 51. We still got a lot of work to do, but I think that the teachers are really buying into that idea of we really need to hit on growth. I'm a very firm believer that if we really zone in on growth, that the proficiency side of things will take care of itself. So we're focusing on that, and as you can see, pretty good stuff from there. We're going to be starting ESS tutoring next week, and we are doing something a little bit different, kind of an experiment there, but in the past we've offered that after school. At least for my own elementary age children, after school it's a really, really tough time with kids. They are like in full meltdown mode. So with us having our day not start until 8:50, we're actually going to experiment with a before school ESS time. The kids can come in, they're fresh. If they eat breakfast with us, we'll still make sure that they have plenty of time to do that. So I got my invitations out for that, and I'm starting to collect the names on that. The teachers actually were really pretty excited about that, you know, for that same reason. That the ones that have done the ESS in the past, they're like, man, the behavior kind of becomes an issue, and how can we expect it not to be? Because, you know, especially our first graders and our second graders, they're tired. So we're excited about that. We did have to increase our cap size, so SPDM a week ago, we went from 24 to 26. We got all of our first grade classes are at 24. And then in second grade, 3 of them are already at 25 and the other 2 have 24. So we were at cap or above. And basically all through first and second grade. So just to give ourselves a little bit of wiggle room for the remainder of the year, we went ahead and did that to get us up from 24 to 26. We do anticipate we'll probably end up having a couple kids enroll over the next few months as we steamroll towards the end of the year. We had our ad hoc math curriculum committee, and a big thanks to Mr. Morwessel for loaning out his 5th and 6th grade math teacher. This first meeting, we got everything out on the board, and what we found was there is not consistency as you go from grade level to grade level. So in any particular grade level, K through 6, there are excellent things happening, and we see it in our numbers. I'm asking the questions, what would happen if we had a little bit better vertical alignment and some consistency as we move from grade level to grade level, because I think that we might be able to go a little bit more. And so that first particular meeting went really, really well, getting it out there in front of the teachers to be able to see, because that's one of the things that's particularly challenging for us is how do I get that second grade teacher to talk to the third grade teacher or the first grade teacher. The way our days kind of break up, sometimes that's a challenge for them. So getting all those people in the same room and looking at it, I think was excellent. We meet again here 2 weeks from now, and what I've asked them to do is really start thinking about the big idea for their grade level. To say, you know, I used to do middle school math for a decade, and when I did 7th grade, I would say the big idea that comes out of 7th grade, for my opinion, was proportional reasoning. Like all of it kind of stems from that. I need those kids leaving 7th grade with a solid understanding of that, and if they do, they'll be okay in 8th grade. So I'm asking the teachers to go back to their PLCs and discuss with their grade level teachers, what is the big idea that we want all second graders, and we'll start from there for our next meeting. So that's about it coming from the elementary school. Any questions? Yes, sir.
Once the curriculum committee has completed their analysis through this year, is the plan then that
sometime between now and next school year that you'd be ready to implement something, or do you think you'll need more time?
Well, that's kind of where we're probably moving towards. I don't want to come in and say this is what we're doing. So really what I'm trying to do is get the teachers to buy in and show them, hey, this is the situation that we have. And they see it, and they see it very, very clearly. So I'm anticipating at the end of this next meeting, we'll probably have a pretty good idea on what our next step is, on what we need to do to get consistency. You know, whether that's looking at a curriculum or taking what we have in place and putting stuff together. But we are moving in that direction, it would seem. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, no, I think it's great. I would say keep up the good work. Like, I love the idea of like bringing people from the middle school down and trying to align them, and I think this is definitely what we need, and it's exciting that we're moving in that direction.
I'm passionate about it. I'm really excited, and I'm a math geek still, so I'm like, yeah, let's talk about math.
Yeah.
And like, tone it down a little bit. And I'm like, don't tell me to tone it down. Anything else? All right, thanks.
I'm not a math geek, so I appreciate Luke's work as well. We have the winter map. You have the two tables there that just show the populations broken down. I know that color-coded spreadsheet could be a lot to look at. So I hit some highlights here, seeing some good things comparing the fall-winter map to the winter map. A couple areas that we focus on, and you know, when you look at like 6th grade reading, 15.3% of students with disabilities went down. That might be 2 students, but that particular teacher is very good with this data and knows exactly who those 2 students are. So, you know, we do keep an eye on that. Happy with some of the gains we're seeing in both 5th and 6th grade math just now with some of the things we've tried to focus on in a short time. So I'm also really looking forward to the work that we're doing with the elementary, because that'll be a big support for all of our kids. And the improvement strategies. I mean, there's not a big shift in focus. What we're trying to do, growth is still the big key idea. Just really trying to continue to do the things that are working well for us, and look at the areas that we can focus and do some things about it. So the math teachers have been at a 2-day training yesterday and today at the co-op, and there will be another one in February to do with co-teaching. So we're doing a lot of steps to really help that as well. So we're excited about some of that. I've given you our spelling bee winners. We almost had a 3-time champion, but we had a young man that unseated her in her bid for 3-peat. So Miss McNeil did that this year, and that was her first time doing that, and it went very well. The select band members, we had 5 that got selected, which is a very big deal for us. You know, David can probably tell you what it's like to be the parent of one of these kids going through it, because that, you know, he's got one up there. But we had 10 kids that auditioned and 5 that did make it. So that was kudos to our music program. New Day Ranch is something that came to us right before Christmas. Caitlin had found out about a couple of opportunities for some of our kids, and New Day Ranch was one of them. We've got 10 kids going down there, 8 from the middle, 2 from the elementary, and this week was the 2nd week. And it's been phenomenal for those kids. I'm not mentioning the elementary kids, the 2 that have enjoyed it. So we selected the 8 kids, good opportunity for some leadership building and some confidence building with those kids. So we were very excited about that. And then the last thing on there is Mr. Reidner. 2nd year in a row, he took our 7th and 8th grade principal advisory kids down to a STEM car experience at the Cavalcade Customs. And they really enjoyed that. So, questions for me? Thank you.
So from the high school, we are going to take it from the little bitty 3-year-olds all the way to the kids, 2nd semester seniors, getting ready to face the real life. So, Ms. Brenner, if you would pull up the other one. No, the one with the colorful table on it.
It's the last one, I think.
Yeah. So big changes to our inter program for the tests that the students take to get their career certification. Our goal is everybody either graduates academic or career ready. KDE made some changes to this year. Instead of taking 3 courses in a pathway and being enrolled in the 4th, Katie dropped that number down to 2 classes on the transcript. So essentially, for like our business department, a student that took the old word processing class or digital literacy class and took the required economics or financial literacy to graduate, they would qualify for an end-of-program test, even though they weren't immersed in the upper level capstone classes in that pathway. So my thought is I think it's to give them more opportunities to test more kids, to earn more career certifications, because starting with our freshman class, this is one of the prerequisites to graduate. This is one of the things you earn to earn your checkbox to graduate. So we are currently setting up those testing rosters. So we usually test around 70 to 80 kids. Right now, just alone in the senior class, we will give 117 end-of-program assessments. So we have some kids taking 1 that probably would not, or we know would not have qualified before. So we have kids that qualified to take 5 end-of-program assessments. So if a kid is already college ready, that's a discussion point. How many, which ones do you want to take, which ones will you have the most success in? And our students that are not currently transition ready, they will take as many as absolutely possible to try to earn that point. We don't want to leave anything on the floor that they haven't had a chance to get transition ready. So the 3 colors, the green is the agricultural department, the blue is the business, the yellow is the family and consumer science. Within each of those big areas, there's the specific pathways: horticulture and plants, animal, and agribusiness. We will be giving the number of, that you see there, 8 end-of-program assessments in the horticulture and plant system. Of those 8 students taking the end-of-program, 3 of them are currently not transition ready. So that would be one of the 3 remaining ways to earn transition ready for those students. And on the bottom, I noted the other 2 ways would be the Coyote test and the we still have seniors taking the ACT multiple times, trying to earn those benchmark scores. So as of this morning, Ms. Hester and I did some final calculations. 133 seniors, 36 of them currently not transition ready. So we have, again, the ACT, the Coyote, and our end-of-program testing for them to try to earn that last effort to get there. So we are dealing with new enrollments, something that we really don't traditionally see a lot in the senior year. Just this week alone, 2 new seniors coming to us. So we are doing whatever it takes to get them to that transitional ready point. Again, a couple of them had some classes at other schools that they took in different pathways, so we got them on the rosters right away for end of program. Got them into our ACT classes there to finish that senior prep and do what we can do to get them through there. So we will be doing probably even more tests than the 117 for the junior class. We don't get their check mark to be transition ready at the junior year, but once they become a senior and they graduate, then they earn that check at their transition ready. Any questions about the end of program and how that changed since previous years?
Sounds like good news. Thanks for.
We're trying to every day, every
Yeah.
point. So we had some really good ACT results that we just got back in the mail, like that first day we were back from Christmas break, and we were able to get a lot of. That's a very good feeling to go in that spreadsheet and change them from no to yes. So.
And I assume kids can kind of double dip and take multiples, so
Correct.
just to hedge our bets.
Yep.
Good.
Any kid that's not transition ready and can qualify for 1, 2, 4 into programs, they will take every single one of those.
Yeah. Thanks for all the work you guys do. I know it's tough, especially as you get closer to the end of the year, to make sure everybody's got a shot. Appreciate it.
Down to the wire for some of them, and the kids really, those cords that they wear, they're passionate about those cords, and when we do the graduation practice, they're pointing out, no, I just took that test, I got the results back, you owe me a cord, and we hand them out. So they do buy into that a lot. Thank you.
Construction report.
I'm up.
Your turn.
My turn? All right, I'll Start with the lovely track again.
We could-
I feel like that one's, I feel like this one's not getting off the list.
I don't think it's been off the list since we've been on.
I think you're correct. It started before me and it's still on there. We have another meeting on the 30th of next week to explore our options going forward. I know we've tried to do a couple different things, but companies don't really want to do it at this time because of the weather, so we're kind of locked in. So we're going to meet with the architect and explore our options this week, and Dr. Baker will probably keep you updated on that with the.
I certainly will, but I want to point out, part of a complicating factor at this point is, once we get a new board attorney hired, we have to bring that board attorney up to speed on this situation. So I'm hoping that we can kind of have a resolution to that process, I hope tonight, so that our new board attorney can be present for that meeting on the 30th. Emmett's going to be there, and we can bring that person up to speed and, you know, get a course of action ready. Weather has not helped us out. That work, any resurfacing, it needs to be, is it 70 degrees?
I think, well, 70 would be nice, but I think they can do it at anything like 60 or above.
Okay.
But they don't really want to do it. The only chance we would have is maybe like a spring break area, and no company wants to tackle it at that time.
I just do want to say that I was on the track Monday, and our track at this point in time is not up to our standards. It's not what we expect here. However, our track right now is in better condition than many, many tracks across the state that host track meets on those tracks on a regular basis. So I just want to point that out. We're going to continue to work to get this resolved, but, you know, that track is usable.
Move on to the turf. We still haven't closed that one out yet. We're still kind of watching the weather. I haven't had any bad news, any puddles, anything like that so far. So they were spraying, and so far it's working. But it is winter time, so I believe static will come back towards more towards summer if it is going to come back. Assuming that was the issue, but I think raking it and spraying it is kind of pretty much helped it. So. No issues with that to this point. Early Childhood Center, still moving along on that one. We got some commissioning items, mostly the mechanical contractor is all that's really left. Almost everybody else has pretty much wrapped up everything. Got a couple of rewiring things we have to do, should be done next week. They probably completed about half of their stuff up to this point on the mechanical side. And I'm a real stickler on the mechanical side because it's a huge background for me, so they're having problems getting that past me. So that's what's taking so long in the mechanical portion. Everything else seemed to be wrapped up other than that. So hopefully within a few weeks we had that wrapped up. We're pushing real hard on them right now, and we've kind of let them know, like, if you don't get this done, we're going to do it with money and you're out. So that they've actually showed up a little bit now. Just had to force their hand, I guess. Middle school, it's actually pretty far along at this point. There are a few items left on the mechanical side. We're having a couple issues on the far end of the building with our HVAC. I've been watching it real close on days off and stuff like that to see why we're not heating that side of the building as well. So we sent some data off to Mitsubishi, and we're just kind of working through that right now. Other than that, the punch list was pretty much completed. They got some caulking they still have to touch up, but we're waiting on weather on that one again. Fixed all the lighting controls from the lights being on in the middle of the night. We got that solved. Good news, they were LEDs. It always helps. But we had to wait for the control contractor to come back. They're out of Chicago, the programmers are, and we had to wait for them to come back, and I did that last week with them, so we got that knocked out. Move on to the, I'm going to call it central storage because that's essentially what it's purchased as. You know, it's coded as central storage. It's across the street at the old tractor spot place. We're making headway over there, doing pretty good. We should have the plumbing in, a lot of the walls are in, the electrical is getting tidied up. was in bad shape, let's put it that way. But we're getting it there, and it's, so I'm shooting for the second week of February to be completed with that in order for archery to be in there. That's my goal. I feel like we can hit that goal as long as we keep moving at this pace. Like I said, the bathrooms will be in. The only other thing we have is we have to feather some concrete out in order to make it, because there's a lip in there, I guess, where they did transition between years. Once we get that leveled out, you can get inside. It's not we still have to put an ADA parking on the outside, which we currently do not have. Kind of weather dependent on that one too. I'm gonna try to do it blacktop because that's your best solution. Cost effective solution, let's put it that way. And the blacktop plants are kind of in and out right now with the weather. I think under a certain temperature they can't operate, so. I think that's good. We're working on the camera alarm systems. We're installing all the backbone pieces that we're gonna need over there in order to house kids over there. I think that's it over there on that one. And of course, the high school security vestibule. I'm sure you're aware of this. I saw the email. That will help bring us up to code. So we submitted the BG1 for approval, sent that out. I believe that's a really good use of space there at a very lower estimate than we anticipated, actually. And I know that was a downfall for it's the only building with no security vestibule, actual security vestibule. So I believe that'll take care of that. It's just going to include a couple small changes, you know, some lighting, some electrical data, you know, to kind of house some of the new casework that we had to put in the carpet. We figured that the hog hair carpet was, it was put in in 07, really not that great a carpet anyway. We'll just go ahead and upgrade the carpet while we're at it, because no one's going to want to work inside that office while that construction's going on anyhow. So might as well just clear the carpet and then put back in. I think we're doing some camera upgradings as well on there. Really not much HVAC in there. We're just going to kind of leave it the way it is. Might put a heater in the front vestibule area because that's always a hard one to keep up with heat. Do you have any questions about the security vestibule from the drawings? And we'll send out the other ones when they come in. That was just a pretty preliminary drawing that'll get us going. On the LPC, we're kind of in limbo on that still, between KDE and what they're going to accept, and we're kind of I'm getting the budget numbers together for the elementary school and what that would cost, and then I'm get that over to Dr. Baker, and he'll kind of make a decision. KDE is going to require us to do other things other than just classrooms, I believe. Possible waivers we might be able to get to knock some of it off, but I don't know if they're going to allow it all. I talked to the architect today, and he's going to research a lot of it. That way we can figure out which way we really need to go on the LPC. We do have to do a new DFP regardless, and we're going to have to start that process, but I want to get the numbers and everything to Matt, and that way he can make a educated decision on what we're going to go forward with here.
Well, and just so everybody's aware, we are a little bit in limbo in this process because we have a new State Board of Education, we have an interim Commissioner of Education, and we're starting a search for a new Commissioner of Education. So that's, things in KDE are a little, you know, the engine sputters when leadership changes, and the engine is sputtering in KDE. So we're in a little bit of a holding pattern on that whole process. So I will notify all the members of the LPC either tomorrow or Monday, just so everybody's aware that, you know, we are in a holding pattern waiting on Frankfurt to do some things that they need to do, and then we'll move forward when things in Frankfurt move. So.
Yeah, we submitted that information right after the last board meeting. We still have not received any kind of an answer from them. So, and that's about a month.
I do want to mention one other thing. I think everybody's aware we had a bit of an issue at the high school in the evening with a strong smell of gas. I don't have a strong sense of smell, I'll put it that way, and when you went upstairs, it was very, very noticeable. And the Walton Fire Department was here and okayed us to, you know, gave the okay for us to stay in the building, there are valves upstairs on those workstations. There are valves on top that are operable, and there are also valves under the workstations that you have to lay down in the floor and get to. And I just Jeremy came in early Thursday morning and tested all those to be sure that there were no leaks, that our kids were going to be safe, so that Casey Ryan could do labs that he had planned using gas. So Jeremy, I appreciate that. So it would have been, it would have cost us some money to contract that out. Fortunately, Jeremy has a background in that and was able to take care of that for us and was willing to come in at the crack of dawn and get that taken care of. So I just want to thank you for that.
I believe it was just somebody accidentally hit it with a bottle or something. I mean, I'm shocked that it's never happened before, that to my knowledge. But I did, so we are gonna make different plans and make everybody aware of the different options they have on shutting those off. And as soon as we get our PDFs back, I'll make one of those up. Once I can edit my PDFs again.
Thanks.
Any other questions?
On to the attendance and enrollment. Rob?
All right. And this month, our high attendance champion is our high school.
Never
So we will need to move that on down the hall there, Mr. Moore-Wessel.
I have no idea where it's at.
Yeah, that's what they've been saying for.
That's what
for
they have
years.
said.
As you can see there, the actual enrollment, middle school was really the only one that kind of stayed static from month 5 to now. The others dropped a bit. In our preschool, as Caitlin noted earlier, it's still where it was last month as well. So, but all in all, we're still up from this time last year. So we're still raking them in as Adam pointed out, that we have since Christmas break was over and people were starting to come back, and it's just been, the vestibules have been full of enrollees. So you lose a few, you gain a few, and this obviously is a bad month for us attendance wise, but at all 3 levels we were dealing with every kind of bug and germ and critter known to man. So, but they survived. So far this month, it looks like we've rebounded a bit. So, all in all, we're still plugging along there.
Luke needs to add another kid to get that number up.
We did
there.
today.
That's a bad number.
I would just point out that we are now 50 students larger than we were at the beginning of the school year. We've grown by 50 students so far this year. We average 30 to 50 per year, and we're already at 50. And that number can, it can fluctuate, it can go down, but it looks like our growth is going to remain steady at the least. So.
Questions? On to personnel, did everybody get a chance to look at that? Other?
Board members, in the portal, you will find a long list of upcoming events. Carrie Ryan was kind enough to compile a list for you and for our administrators and staff, all of the events occurring in the school district during the second semester from this point forward. I gained a new appreciation last year for just how busy the spring can be. So we know you like to know when those things are happening, so we wanted to put it in one comprehensive list for you. So it's there for you. On another note, I think everybody's aware that January is Appreciation Month for school boards all across Kentucky. So we have a small token of our appreciation for you, just a hoodie for each of you. And we wanted to do something a little different this year. So Erin Korstein and several of her students and Jason Reese worked to create a thank you video for all of you. So Trisha's going to play that now, and we will share that a little more widely tomorrow. So.
I would like to take this opportunity to thank all 5 of our board members, Megan, David, Heather, Kyle, and Stacy, for their service to our students, to our staff, and to our community. I've gained a new appreciation over the last 18 months how often board members are in a no-win situation. For example, if votes are frequently 5-0, the term rubber stamp is used. However, if votes are frequently 3-2, then board members are portrayed as not being able to get along and being dysfunctional and all those things that are very, very unfair. So I would just like to publicly thank our board members for their willingness to put themselves out there in service to our school district and to our community. I very much appreciate your willingness to have open and honest dialogue, for your respect of multiple opinions, and I think certainly in this day and age in our country where we seem to be so divided, that you work together for the betterment of our students, our staff, our community, and respect the differing opinions that people have, and stay focused on the ultimate goal, which is the continued success of our students and our community. So thank you very much for your service.
We love our new building. Thank you.
Thank you. Walton Verona School Board members make a powerful difference. Thank you.
Thank you for supporting our fine arts programs.
I'm really grateful for the support that the Board of Education provides to Wake Up Walton each year. Whether you're coming out to help, to raise money, forming a team, it's always wonderful and inspirational to see our board members working side by side with the rest of us in our school district. Thank you.
I'd like to say thank you to our school board for their unwavering support for our CTE programs, specifically FBLA, and their financial support in helping our students compete at the national competitions. Thank you.
Thank you for the relentless support in our community, specifically in Career Tech Ed and FCCLA.
I'd like to thank you for your visibility at all of our school events, even when your own kids aren't participating. And I just thank you for all the extra time and effort you put into making this an excellent district and a place that I truly enjoy working. Thanks so much.
Thank you for supporting international student travel, where our students can experience different cultures firsthand. Thank you.
Thank you for all you do.
We would like to thank the Board of Education for always supporting us in our class in the special education department.
From 5th grade, thank you. From the 6th grade, thank you, board members. From 7th grade, thank you. From the 8th grade team at WVMS, we really thank you for all that you do, board members. From your Encore team, we appreciate you guys. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thanks, board members, for everything you do for us and everything you do to support our teachers and our kids. We really appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks.
That's all I have.
Brothers, is there
Kevin, is there anybody back there on the audience for citizens? I don't believe there.
Not today.
Not today?
Okay. I have one thing just quick.
Okay.
I just wanted to give a shout out to the archery club. What's it club? I just want to make sure everybody's aware that program didn't exist 2 years ago, and now we've got a middle school team that currently is ranked, I think, 26th, 25th, or 26th in the state, out of in the top 100. So the top 100 schools will get to go to the state level, and it's still early, so the rankings will adjust. But those kids are doing some amazing things, and it's really cool to see kids that maybe wouldn't normally be a part of a larger team, like really have that camaraderie and working together, and you see kids of all different ages and different backgrounds, and it's been really awesome. And Miss Angel has done just tremendous things. She puts her heart and soul into that, and it's just so much work. And there are parents that help coach as well. They're doing fantastic things. But I just wanted to make sure that I just gave a shout out to that, and it's really great. And I think it's one of the awesome things that Walton Verona is all about, and just being very inclusive, and it's great. I want to see more of that kind of stuff, and just wanted to say thank you.
Audience citizens. Go on to recommended board motions. Approval of the minutes.
I'll make it.
Go ahead.
Megan first. Any discussion? We have a second.
I'll do it.
David, second. And we saw the treasurer's report.
Wait, I'll make it.
All in favor? Next is the approval of the treasurer's report.
I'll make it.
First. Any questions or discussion?
Thanks for the information. Appreciate it.
Kevin answered everybody's questions. We have a second.
I'll make it.
Megan with a second. All in favor? 5. Approve order the treasurer's bills.
I'll make it.
David first. Any questions or discussion?
Again, just thanks for all the thanks for all the detail. I think it's great. Again, like I know I say this all the time, but it really is great to have that information up front. So I think that eliminates 99% of the. What is this? Thanks.
We have David the first. We have a second.
I'll make it.
Stacy the second. All in favor? Approval of the draft budget for 2021.
I'll make it.
Any questions, discussion?
Yeah.
Kevin?
Yeah, I'll just kind of give a brief overview, and if you have any questions, certainly feel free to ask. So this budget, as it stands right now, is essentially a roll forward budget from this year using the same salary scales that we have this year. We're not sure what's going to go on with the legislative session with that. You know, whether they're forced changes and how much money that costs us, because it always does. So we'll make those adjustments, assuming that they pass a budget at the, before our May tentative budget. We'll address that then. You can see down at the bottom, I'll skip down to that. The only additional position in for next year is an additional second grade teacher that's highlighted in red. That is just an effect of those classes moving forward, and the assumption is that kindergarten will have 6 sections again next year. We won't know that until, I don't know, maybe in July. But it seems to be growing pretty rapidly still. We went ahead and put that in because we knew we would have it. Expense-wise, you'll see all the rest of those down there. You'll see our step increases, and the county retirement system retirement rate went up by like 3%. That doesn't sound like a lot, but it cost us about 75 grand. So that happened. Step increases are about 150, and then there's some other adjustments with those things in there. And we had some OTPT stuff that we moved into the instruction side to help with House Bill 200 stuff to make sure, and that essentially is just moving things from the coding as a district, because it's not really a district function. We can break those up into which schools they serve, and that helps those numbers in school report card numbers. At the top, you'll see, and altogether the increases come in at right at 375,000. It's a pretty good chunk. To make up for that in revenues, we'll have, I've got budgeted $150,000 increase in our real estate tax revenue. That will come through the form, and the trade-off there is if property assessments go up enough, that'll take care of it, probably will. And if not, we can always look at tax rate or make other adjustments in the budget once we get to the summer, when we get our assessment data, typically last week of July, first week of August. And then other increases there, I increased our motor vehicle and public service court taxes just to kind of more accurately trail our actual data. Seek revenue should go up based on our student increases that we've had. So I bumped that up 100 grand.
And then I also adjusted up preschool tuition. We had kind of hoped that we'd get 30 from that this year to help with that program, and we've already taken in, I think, 32, a little over 32 this year. So we're running about $6,500, $7,000 a month. So I increased that budget, and that will take care of it. So contingency is the same dollar number that it has been the past couple of years. The percentage went down by 0.14 just because the denominator grew. Personnel expenses, you can see, are up from this past year's working budget by $231,000, and again, that is a function of the county retirement increases and the step and rank changes that we have, plus that additional position at the elementary. And we're still right at that 78.12 number. Again, the threshold is about 80. You want to stay under or as close to that as you can, and we're consistently under that. And for right now, it's a good budget. And we'll see what happens with the legislative session and how that affects things. But we'll deal with that and any other kind of position changes or whatever, salary scale stuff between now and the May meeting when we pass the tentative.
The SPDM allocation increase, is that due to rising costs of the school?
Yeah, so we come up with an initial increase or an initial amount every year based on prior year enrollment. And then when we get, when the second month closes out, they get an adjustment, and because the population is growing, they got some more money. So that's it, and that's just a function. They get 3.5% of the amount you're required to give them an adjustment at the end of the year, or at the end of the second month. Yeah.
And then another question on so I know we're budgeting in a second grade teacher.
Mm-hmm.
Based on all the classrooms that are flexing, do we anticipate that that'll be enough to address that, or do we think, I know it's probably way early, but I just got a little nervous when we were flexing classroom sizes already, and we're not even to the end of this year.
Me too. Our current second grade is our tightest group right now, currently. Third grade, we got a little bit of wiggle room, and when they go to fourth grade, that cap size increases from 24 to 28. Our current kindergarten class, I think 2 of our classes out of the 6 are currently at the cap. But our current first and second grade classes are the ones that are bigger.
Luke, of the increasing enrollment that you're getting in those kindergarten, first, second grades, are those primarily in-district enrollees? Are there a lot of out-of-district students applying? What are you seeing?
You mean how, like mid-year or?
Yeah.
Well, the out-of-district one, they're all in district.
Okay.
Yeah, every single one of them. They don't generally take them.
Yeah. So it's the growth is all
They
in
ask,
district.
can we come in mid-year?
Right. I wanted.
But do we have any out of district currently in those grades that started?
Yeah,
Okay, that's
yeah.
fair.
I mean, we have out-of-district students in all of our grade levels, but none of them are, I mean, I'm just going off the top of my head, but it's maybe 7 or 8 kids for a larger group of out-of-district kids in a particular grade level. I mean, we're not talking like 20 kids.
Correct me if I'm wrong, I think a couple of those grade levels, most of the, if not all of the out-of-district kids are employee
Employee
children.
kids, right?
Yeah, a couple of them are. I mean,
So I know we talked about in the past, and I know this is budget and it's not, but just a real quick question. At what point in time, this could be for central office and you, whatever, are we going to know out of district? Because if we're continuing to grow like this mid-year, because we're not going to kick them out, obviously. Once we take them, we keep them. So at what point in time do we say, I mean, I know we need them, don't get me wrong, but I think it's a really fine line, and where do we start that process? Because now, you know, once we get to middle school, then that's the big problem. Like, they have nowhere to go there.
Sure.
So,
the
just kind
biggest
of wondering if
challenge
we
for
thought about
us,
that.
and Rob could speak to this as well, is that kindergarten class, because I mean, people come out of the woodwork. They don't show up to the registration, and so you know, last year I didn't send out any approval letters for anybody that wasn't an employee until after the start of the school year.
Mm-hmm.
And even at that point, I turned down, I think, 12. And that was just to make sure we had enough room for those students that are in district that show up.
And in my letter that I sent, you know, it's always, hey, we just don't have space. You're welcome to apply every year if you want to. But the other grade levels, it's a lot easier to have a handle on what is going on with those numbers and to make sure that we're not taking on new kids that's gonna bump us way up. Kindergarten is just, it's the hard one.
Let me do this. I like to always start with data. So let me share, I'll compile some data for the board on enrollment K-12 and of the total enrollment, how many students per grade level are out of district. But I think that's something, we need to have that conversation.
There's just so much more building going on right now that all these are bringing in, I mean, in Verona, and then they're still going on in Wildcat Run and all that kind of stuff where it's like, where are we gonna stop?
Yeah.
If we gotta take our kids and then we have to keep that, we don't have rooms for them, we don't have teachers for them, we don't, at some point in time. So sorry, that was a little bit off topic,
No.
back to budget.
That's all part of the budget.
Yeah, well, I know, that's kind of why,
Everything involves the
that's kind of
budget.
why I wanted to ask, because I mean, it is kind of, and we talked about it several years ago, but it's kind of, I feel like when I got on the board, our enrollment was like 1,550, and now we're at 1,850, I mean, so.
That's all I have on the budget. All the other, stuff like cafeteria, and, those things you'll find in the report, those are really not, you know, things that really impact they don't impact the general fund budget. But if you have any questions, but those are all, we'll maintain those are the same. And if we have any bond issues, you know, we might have a change on that, between now and May, but we don't know what those numbers are gonna look like yet, you know, if we have a addition at the elementary school or something coming up.
Any other questions? David hit the first, did we have a second?
I'll make it.
Heather makes the second. All in favor? Alright. Next is the approval of the 2020 Comprehensive District Improvement Plan.
I'll make it.
Dave makes the first. Any questions, discussion?
A lot of great reading.
Here we go.
It's good times.
The improvement plan?
Friday night reading.
There's a lot of work that went into that, so I'm glad somebody read it.
I wish.
Yeah.
I thought of you when I read it.
I actually thought of you a little bit when I read it.
I can feel it.
Have a second?
I'll make it.
All in favor? And we're gonna go on to the approval of the 2021 school calendar.
I'll make it.
First. Discussion?
Really, tonight, we are deciding between, you've got 3 drafts there. I don't know, do we have that up there
Yes.
in our attachments?
Yeah, they're all on here.
I believe there's
You want all 3 of them
survey
up?
results as well, maybe?
Yeah.
You want all of them up?
Let's look at the survey first, maybe. if you don't mind.
Oh, sorry. Okay.
Okay, there we go. It was a pretty short and simple survey sent to all the certified staff about their druthers on early release days. And the first question basically just asks, are you in favor of the current version, which at that time was the version that the committee had come up with, which only included one early release day. That would have been on April the 23rd. So blue there represents the yes votes, that they were in favor of that calendar with the one early release. So I believe it was about 55% and 45%. You can see it on here. And then if they voted no, then it forced them onto a second question, which was if you were in favor of more early release days, would you be in favor of one that included 3 or one that included the 5 that we've had traditionally? And there, as you can see there, the majority was more in favor of just keeping it as is. But you didn't get to go to that question unless you voted no, to the first question. So, we had about 120 respondents, I believe. Memory serves. That might say that up at the top, 116. So, pretty good response rate there. So that might help you with this. We've got the 3 drafts there in front of you. They're all the same number of days. They're all the same breaks. They're all the same everything. All the same PD, all the same start and end. It really is just the difference of the early release days. So, anybody have any questions about what the decision is?
So, just to recap, Rob, draft 1 has 1 early release day, draft 2 has 3 early release days, and draft 3 has 5 early release days.
Correct.
Okay.
The black boxes are the dates of the early release dates.
And refresh my memory, how many early release days do we have this year? We have 5 this year. Okay.
Thank you. I would move that we accept draft 1, which is the calendar that the calendar committee had put forward. I think, again, like, I was part of the committee, I was there at the meeting, Rob did a fantastic job running the meeting and making sure it was like very, very inclusive. We had parents and teachers and administrators there representing everyone, and I thought it was a really great discussion and a good meeting.
Just for me, based upon the survey, it looks like teachers are really split. Like, some of them really like it, it's beneficial. So for me, that makes me feel more like draft 2 might be a good, what's the word I'm looking for?
Middle.
Compromise. Compromise,
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
Thank you. I'm like, what's the word I'm looking for? A good compromise.
Yeah, because it wasn't a huge.
That's my personal opinion. I mean, because there's not a huge.
And I think for me, I'm just thinking about like parents, and I know
Right,
parents
absolutely.
generally hate early release days, and I know you've always got to plan for something, like you can't plan for snow days and sick days, you can't plan for those, but this is just one more thing that our parents could plan for. And for me personally, I would rather go with this calendar that, given that it's kind of a coin flip on the teachers, whether they liked it or didn't like it. So that would be my preference, again, just to err on the side of, let's give this a try. I know the parents will really appreciate it, and that would be my suggestion.
I guess kind of where I'm with Heather, but I guess kind of what I'm worried about is if we go to 1 and then the teachers are like, or everybody realizes that we really do need them back, now we're gonna go back and give them, do you understand, like the back and forth? Right, so if we went to 3, I think they're positioned really well as far as like Christmas break, the prom date thing, or, the prom day, and then the last day, it could kind of see, okay, we didn't really need those, so next year let's do 1, or no, we do need them, let's keep it 3 or go back to 5. I feel like if we just go all the way back, what are we gonna do if we need to go back the other way? That's my concern.
My thought's the same thing. I mean, based on the survey, they're kind of split on what they want, so might as well kind of to keep everybody compromise and go with the 3, and they're at great points in the year.
I'm with 3 also, just to keep everybody happy. Let's try it out.
I mean, I appreciate the committee's work, I know it's a lot of time, I don't wanna buck the system,
Right,
but,
yes.
yeah. But I don't know, I just kinda feel like 3 is a good compromise. That's just my opinion. So we're gonna vote on each one of them?
Yeah, you think we vote on each one? Because he's making a motion for 2. He's making a motion for 1, right? So do we need a second? Let's see if there's a second for 1.
Yeah.
So we have a second for draft 1.
Yeah, and if it doesn't, it dies, if there's not a second correct one.
Okay. No second on draft 1, so we'll go on to draft 2.
I'll make it.
Motion, draft 2, which is with the 3 early release days. Any more discussion? Do we have a second? voting? All in favor of draft 2? 4. 4. So it passed. All opposed? 1. And so that one passed. So assuming we won't even worry about draft 3 because it passed.
Right.
Alright. We good?
While we're talking about school calendar, are we gonna get to a point where we can be ahead, Rob, Dr. Baker?
Rob and I have discussed that a couple different times. We're talking about getting ahead a year so that our parents
Even if
always
it's by
know.
May or something.
I'm sorry?
Even if it's like by May, like, just to give them
You wanted to address that, Rob?
Yeah, we could easily try to start doing that. Obviously, it won't be this year, but for next year, we can start working on that.
or like even by the start of school, just so that people that we're talking about can start, that have to request off by November or whatever, can request off for the next year for the spring breaks or fall breaks, because I know like our calendar doesn't align with several districts, so.
I'm sorry, I thought y'all were talking about a 2-year out calendar.
Yeah.
Well,
so
it would kind of be, we would, by the time August comes, we would have 21, 22.
Right. So now that we've approved this one, go ahead and start working on
Instead of
the next.
waiting till the winter, like do it maybe by the time school starts where we can hand it out in their information or whatever.
But not
Maybe
for the following year
No.
after that.
No.
Is what I thought you were talking about. Okay,
Yeah.
yes, we had discussed that. We would like to get this in your hands a lot earlier next year.
So even maybe it's by fall break.
Just so that they could, request off and stuff, that's all. Thank you.
Thank you. So then, next is the approval for BG1 for the high school security festival.
I'll make it. You can have it. Turner.
David the first. Questions, discussions? Any more further presentation on that?
Board members, Jeremy touched on this. You have a floor plan, a schematic of what that security vestibule would look like. This would enable us to become a little more compliant with what is in Senate Bill 1, the school safety bill that gained a lot of attention the last legislative session. As Jeremy indicated, the high school is the only one of our schools that doesn't have a true security vestibule, so this would go a long way toward making our high school a safer building for our staff and our students. Kevin, would you talk briefly about how we would pay for this?
Yeah, so funding, we're gonna attempt to use, because it's on our facilities plan, like under security upgrades, we're gonna attempt to use, building fund cash, so nothing comes out of the general fund. We had, like they talked about earlier, it's like pulling teeth to get any information from those guys down there. So, we're going to do that with a caveat that if they don't let us use building fund cash, we will have to use general fund cash. It has to be done anyways, and if we have to do that, I think we ought to send Frankfurt a bill for it.
If we have to use general fund cash, the board members would see that in the tentative budget in May.
Would see that, and it would also, after we have bids, we'll have a revised BG1, and we'll have a chance to address that at that time as well.
Okay.
Any further questions or comments? So David hits first. Do we have a second? Second. All in favor? All right, next is the approval of pay application 9 for Morel Construction for the Walton Verona Middle School renovation.
I'll make it.
Heather was first. Questions, discussion? We have a second.
I'll make it.
Megan with a second. All in favor? Next is the approval of the resolution.
I'll make it.
David with the first. Any questions, discussions?
Board members, you received this, I believe it was last week, and this is something that a lot of boards across the state are going to adopt, and it's something that Kyle would sign. I'm going to Frankfurt next Wednesday. When I go, I will deliver a signed copy of this to Representative Santoro and Senator Schickel. And I won't read the whole thing, but I do want to be sure that everybody understands at the bottom of the second page, I'll read something very quickly here. It says, be resolved by the Walton Verona Independent School Board. The board calls upon this community's representatives and all members of the Kentucky General Assembly to enact measures to enact measures to increase state revenues during the 2020 regular session, and to invest those funds in education of the students of our common schools, meaning public schools. The board is opposed to the creation of any new state tax expenditure, credit, deduction, or exemption, including but not limited to scholarship tax credits, which would reduce the amount of state revenue available for investment in the education, safety, and well-being of the students of our common schools, hinder the ability of the General Assembly to adequately fund education, hinder the ability of common schools to meet our goals, and hold our people back from reaching their potential in the national and global economy. At this time, a state revenue constraint. Our state is in a difficult situation. We have about $1 billion shortfall in the state budget over the next biennium. At the same time, our state grants $13 billion in tax breaks to large companies and corporations. When the General Assembly does not meet their obligation to fully fund our public schools, that places all members of each Board of Education in a very difficult position in regarding the local decisions that have to be made regarding tax rates. We're fortunate that we're growing at a rate that allows us to sustain revenue growth, which at this point has kept pace with growth in our expenditures, which is inevitable. But this is just a resolution where we are putting our General Assembly on notice that they have an obligation to fund our public schools.
Any questions? David hit first. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Megan with a second. All in favor? 5-0. Next is the approval of field trips.
I'll make it.
David first. Any questions, comments? We have a second.
I'll make it.
Stacy with a second. All in favor? 5-0. And next is the approval to enter into executive session. Pursuant to KRS 61.8101F.
I'll make it.
Go ahead. Megan first. Questions, discussion? Second.
I'll make it.
David second. We are now ready to vote. All in favor? 5-0. We are now in executive session.